Welcome to Business Innovators Radio, featuring industry influencers and trendsetters sharing proven strategies to help you build a better life right now.
Hello and welcome to this episode of our show. This is your host, Keith Doherty. Today our special guest is top real estate agent Sandi Hadley of Carrington Real Estate Services based out of Carlsbad, California. Sandi has been a full-time professional realtor specializing in North San Diego County for the past 25 years. She's been dedicated to providing the finest service available while breaking new ground. Believing that education is one of the keys to success, she has worked to achieve 3 of the real estate industry's most prestigious professional designations, namely GRI, CRS, and Fine Home Specialist. She's a member of the International Women's Leadership Association and former vice president of membership for Women's Council of Realtors, as well as a member of the board of directors for Project Concern International. After joining Carrington Real Estate Services in 2013, Sandi locally is ranked number 2 in closed transactions for 2013. In 2015, she ranked number 6 in the nation for Carrington and has also been awarded the Customer Award in Service. She has also received the Spirit Award in 1999 to 2010, and that's an award voted on by her peers. And she was awarded the Best Residential Real Estate Agent in San Diego County for 3 years in a row, as recognized by the San Diego Magazine for customer service. So with all that, Sandi, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much for having me.
Sandi, if we could start, if you could tell our listeners what led you into real estate. Was it something that you always knew you wanted to do, or did you maybe stumble into it?
No, actually, I sort of stumbled into it. I was a stockbroker at the time. I was the youngest female stock brokerage in the United States to taking a stock brokerage firm public. But I had a fiancé, and he was a land developer, and he said to me, "You'd be really good in real estate." And I said, well, I might as well give it a try, so I did. And I'd never looked back.
It seems like a lot of people that the guests that we have on the show, there's not too many that some have said that, they were around real estate, but it doesn't seem like if you ask a 6-year-old or a 10-year-old, hey, what do you want to do when you grow up? Not too many of them seem to say, I want to be a real estate agent, right? Even though it's such a lucrative and very, rewarding career, it doesn't seem like it's looked upon like a regular profession.
That's true, and basically I probably would never have gone into it if it hadn't been for my fiancé.
Yeah. Sandi, could you maybe talk a little bit about some personal attributes or traits or qualities that you think have most contributed to the success that you've had, and then talk a little bit about how you developed those?
Well, I always basically knew that in order to get into real estate, you had to listen. You need to listen to what people are telling you, what they want to look for, even though sometimes they don't mean that they want that particular house. You need to show them that they're wrong by showing them houses that they first said they want, and then you end up going to something else. But availability, as far as myself being available for them whenever they were available. Follow through. I always follow through with my clients because that's one of the things you need to do in this business is follow through. Otherwise, you'll lose them to somebody else. I have the 3 traits which I believe in: listening, follow through, and availability. Those were the 3 things that I basically decided that that's what I needed to do in order to get my clients and to make them happy.
Yeah, and I think what you said there, the first thing to point out, it's almost like, having kids, they don't listen. You can tell them 100 times over, don't do that, and then they go out and do it, and they're like, oh, that wasn't fun, right? It's kind of like what you just said, like, oh, we want this house, we really want this house. Okay, let's go look at this. Oh, Sandi, we don't want this house. Okay.
That's exactly right.
People want to learn by experience versus just taking your word for it.
That's right. And a lot of people have bought a house that they totally and didn't even describe it when they first started looking.
Yeah.
So, they change their mind just like we change our mind,
Absolutely. So do you think you could give some specific examples or an example of when your traits have played a role in your path towards success?
Well, I'll never forget one of the couples that I started showing properties to, and they told me exactly what they wanted, and they were working with 6 real estate agents at the time. And I stuck I stuck to them with like glue. I did everything they told me to, but I threw in some of my stuff in between. And actually, after about 6 months, I won them over, and I sold them a house, and then I sold them another house, and then I sold that house, and then I sold them another house. So they have stuck to me like glue, too, because I actually listened to them, and I followed through.
Excellent. And given the time you've been in real estate, obviously I imagine that, you've been through some maybe some adversities, maybe some, it hasn't probably all been smooth sailing. So could you talk about some of the major adversities or trials that you've had to overcome in order to achieve your goals and have the success that you've had?
Well, husbands and wives do not always agree with each other. And we would go out and see properties, and he would disagree, and she would disagree, and you just sort of have to keep your mouth shut and work with both of them, because that was the hardest thing is getting into husband and wife feuds over things, and you couldn't take sides, because if you did, that's when you lost and they didn't lose. So that was the hardest part for me, was just to keep my mouth shut when both of them didn't agree with each other.
That could be interesting. You think the woman might be looking to you, kind of thinking like, "Hey, back me up here," and you're like, "I'm just going to be neutral and kind of you two figure this out."
Yeah, because the minute you open your mouth and you disagree with the husband, then she's against you, and the minute you disagree with her, and he's against you. Yeah. So you just sort of have to put in your and never agree with them, just to show them what you think it would be a good idea for, and that's always seemed to work for me.
Yeah. Now, kind of given these these things you come up against, what keeps you going, or what kept you going despite any obstacles? Why don't you give up? What's your driving force?
I love to work with people. I really love to work with people. I do a tremendous amount of charity work, and that's where I find a lot of my clients, is that through charity work. I love to work with people. I like to listen to people. I like to put them into something they like, and it's so rewarding when they find something they really want and they're happy, and they give you a hug and say thank you, and that keeps me going. That absolutely keeps me going, is when people thank me for what I've done.
That's great. And I think it's kind of key to point out to our listeners that we all know that the real estate's lucrative, and a lot of our guests on this show have kind of alluded to what you just said there, where nobody has ever answered that question like, it's obviously the money, right? And nobody's ever even brought money up or anything on this show, and I think it's really important to point that out, especially like you said, it's about, listening, and it's about helping somebody, and it's the gratification that you did the job at the end of the day. And of course, yes, you got a commission, but that was a side effect of doing your job and providing value and helping somebody get what they wanted.
That's exactly right. My first clients basically they looked at everything, and they were with another agent, several agents, that just didn't listen to what they wanted to do, and they didn't think they had the money to buy something. And I actually stuck to them like glue, and I sold them a house that for a VA no-no, which meant they didn't have to have any money. And I'm still getting, that's 25 years ago, I am still getting letters and Christmas cards from them, and they're on the other side of the world here, you might say. But they're on the East Coast, and they send me pictures of their family all the time, and it's really rewarding, because you build up this relationship of people that if you treat them right, they'll treat you right.
Yeah, I think we actually had a guest the other day, and he said before he was in real estate, they were showing him houses. And he said, well, what about that one? He had saw it on the street, and they were looking at other houses. And they're like, oh, no, you can't afford that. And he's like, well, hold on a minute. And then that's the one. Then they looked at it, and then he found a way, and they bought the house. And then he became a realtor later on. And I said, did you ever think maybe it was a tactic? Maybe it was a psychological trick, because they read your personality and knew, and telling you, hey, Steve, you can't have that house. And so he goes, you know what? Maybe it was. But yeah, I think it's important, like you said, to not, don't assume, don't judge. Just say, okay, you want to look at that? Let's look at that. And people find a way to do things they really want to at the end of the day.
That's exactly right. They do find a way, which is good, because then they're getting what they want. And usually, if they can't really afford it, they'll acknowledge that. But, they have to be able to see it for themselves.
Yeah. I guess looking forward a little bit, Sandy, what is your vision for your business and your career, say, over the next 5 years?
Well, since I'm 74 years old, I have just gotten my daughter into real estate, And she has 3 little boys, but she waited until they were 10 and they're in school activities now. And so she works alongside of me, and she reminds me of a younger me. And I think she's going to do fabulous, and I would love to be able to slow down a little bit, but have her by my side and do. And I've been sharing my listings with her, and she's been working with my clients, and so that I can take a little bit of a breather now and then. But because I used to be like her, I used to work 10, 12 hours a day, and you have to slow down sooner or later.
Excellent. And I guess maybe looking forward, with her with you, what do you feel the best way that you market yourself and maybe help her market herself as a real estate professional so she can kind of see that continued growth like you had?
Well, some things change, and I try to tell her certain things, and she says, Mother, things have changed, and that's fine. So she's teaching me how to work the new way of what they're being taught, but I'm teaching her things that actually are more beneficial to her in the long run, and it's actually brought me closer to her, which is very good. I mean, we've always been close family, but it's really fun to watch her take her kids with a wagon, go door to door with flyers, and it's a lot of fun. I enjoy it.
Yeah, that's got to be great to work with your family in real estate, especially your daughter. Like you said, you guys can, you can someone you can trust and you can kind of bring up, and like you said, you can help her have a lot more success based upon all of your experience.
Well, yeah, and she's going with the kids this weekend. They're in travel baseball, and they are going somewhere this weekend, and so I take care of her clients, and when I'm gone, she takes care of my clients, and the clients know who each of us is, so it's really a lot of fun, so we can take a break when we want to.
Oh, that's great. I think sometimes when you look at real estate, there's definitely a lot of misconceptions and myths. I think on both sides. From an agent standpoint, I think somebody new, they think, oh, I'll go out and take do a little education, take a test, get a license, and I'm going to be a millionaire tomorrow because now I'm in real estate. And I think on the other side of the coin is you look at like potentially a homeowner. Well, I'll just go ahead and put a sign in my house and I'll sell my house. I don't want to pay a commission. And I think that's where sometimes people get in trouble because they don't realize everything that's really involved in what a good agent like yourself brings to the table. So could you talk a little about, what you think the biggest misconception or myth people have about working with a real estate agent?
Well, I think the real estate agents know a lot more. They know more about disclosures, especially, than people get out there and they put their house on the market and they don't have the disclosures, they don't have the right paperwork. They soon realize that it isn't just a matter of putting their house on the market and getting somebody that wants to buy it. There's a ton of paperwork. There's a ton of disclosures, and there's like septic pump and certifications and different things that need to be done before you can close escrow on a house, and people just take that stuff for granted. It really, there is a lot of work and a lot of paperwork, but also a lot of work and follow-up. Homeowners associations and lawsuits that you have to check out to make sure they're still not on the homes. And there's just a ton of paperwork and follow-up. And I think that's important that people realize that, because they end up selling a house and they don't disclose things and they end up in court.
Yeah, and I almost, when people talk about it or they start to say, oh, I'm, do this, I think to remind them, like, hey, if you had a toothache or if you had a body part that hurt, you're not going to just go to somebody that pretends to practice, or that, you're going to use a professional. And the reason they're professional and certified is because there's things they have to know by law, and there's things that they're going to do to protect your interest. So it's just like with any other professional service, you should use a professional that's going to look out for you and make sure that you don't, get stuck, like you said, in a lawsuit, potentially, worst case, at the end of the day.
Right, and the old saying goes, you wouldn't hire somebody who's just getting into the medical profession to do surgery on you. You'd want a professional, a surgeon that actually deals in that, and that's the difference between hiring somebody who's a professional realtor as opposed to somebody who's just, starting to get into it now, or even, doesn't even have the right certifications.
Absolutely. And I guess we like to kind of ask a hypothetical here, but let's say you get a call from a family member in another state. They want to sell their home. And what advice would you give them about helping them select an agent that could best serve their needs, kind of how you take care of your clients. How would you advise them to go about selecting someone that could to best satisfy what they're trying to do?
Well, I am a CRS, Certified Residential Specialist, and I have a lot of dealings with agents across the country. I would tell my family members or whoever was calling me that I would always call 3 people, interview them, ask them questions. I also basically can look up people that are in their area that I would recommend, and they can call those people. But I do a lot through Certified Residential Specialists because they have to go through extra training, and they're serious agents and not just people that are doing it on a part-time basis. So I would help them pick somebody out, but the ultimate choice is theirs. But I would make sure they have the right credentials.
Excellent. And Sandi, if someone's looking for real estate service, especially in the North San Diego County area, what's the best way they can get more information about you and how you can help them?
Well, they can call me. I am with Carrington Real Estate Services. My phone number is 760-703-1619. My website is www.SanDiegoRealEstate and the letter 4, the number 4, sale.com. And it's easy to go on there, and it shows all the different areas of houses that we basically represent.
Excellent. Well, Sandi, I want to personally thank you for taking time out of your schedule to come here and share your business experience with all of our listeners. And if you guys want to learn more about Sandi, you can visit our site, like she mentioned. We'll get a link and stuff and everything below this interview. You'll have a link to Sandi's site. We'll get her phone number and any other contact information that Sandi has, so you can go ahead and reach out and connect with her if you need her services or want to learn more about her. So until our next show, everybody, have a great day, and we'll talk to you all soon.
And thank you very much for having me. I appreciate it.
Thanks for listening to Business Innovators Radio. To hear all episodes featuring leading industry influencers and trendsetters, visit us online at businessinnovatorsradio.com today.